The Saturday afternoon sun cast golden shadows across Heritage Plaza parking lot as Dr. Vanessa Mitchell carefully placed her leather briefcase in her father's pristine 1967 Ford Mustang. The muscle car's deep blue paint gleamed like liquid sapphires, each chrome detail reflecting her late father's dedication and her commitment to preserving his memory. "Step away from the vehicle immediately!" The harsh command sliced through the weekend shopping atmosphere. Officer Derek Hayes emerged from his patrol car, hand hovering near his weapon as he approached the elegantly dressed woman beside the vintage Mustang. Vanessa, wearing tailored black slacks and a crisp white blazer, slowly raised her hands with deliberate movements. Around them, shoppers stopped mid-conversation. Smartphones emerged from purses and pockets like digital witnesses. A curious crowd began forming, faces displaying concern and fascination. "Hands on the hood," Hayes commanded, his voice echoing across the upscale district. "This vehicle matches a stolen car report from downtown." Vanessa's designer purse slipped from her shoulder as she complied, palms pressing against the warm metal. Through the windows, a leather portfolio was visible on the back seat, its official seal catching the afternoon light beneath scattered legal documents. "Have you ever been judged by assumptions rather than evidence, even when you possessed more authority than those making accusations?" 12 minutes until courthouse security would notice Judge Mitchell's absence from the emergency hearing. Officer Hayes circled the Mustang like a detective examining evidence. His 16 years on the force had honed instincts he trusted implicitly, and those instincts screamed contradiction. An African-American woman driving a collector's car worth more than most annual salaries? The scenario didn't compute in his worldview. "This vehicle costs more than most people earn in 2 years, he announced to the expanding audience. "Let's start with honesty about how you acquired it." 30 feet away, college journalism student Maria Santos live-streamed to Instagram. The viewer count climbed rapidly. 2,156, 4,132, 7,691. Comments cascaded down her screen. "This is absolutely disgusting. Why isn't anyone helping her? This is racial profiling in action." "Officer, I can provide a complete explanation," Vanessa began, maintaining remarkable composure despite the humiliation burning in her chest. "No explanations until I see documentation," Hayes interrupted sharply, reaching for his radio. "Registration, insurance, and proof of ownership." The crowd grew denser. Vanessa noticed an elderly African-American woman pushing through the gathering, recognition dawning across her weathered features. "Officer, that's not what you think," the woman began. "Ma'am, step back immediately," Hayes warned without shifting focus. "This is police business." Vanessa's phone vibrated insistently. Chief Justice calling. She couldn't answer with her hands. Pressed against her father's cherished automobile, the same car that had carried her through law school graduations and professional milestones. "Empty your pockets and remove any jewelry," Hayes continued, backup units dispatched. Saturday afternoons usually meant simple disputes, but this felt significant. This felt like the kind of arrest that could define careers. "Officer Hayes," Vanessa read his nameplate carefully. "Badge number 8134. I need you to understand something important." "What I understand is you're stalling," he interrupted with theatrical authority. "People who legitimately own cars like this don't act nervous around police." The live stream hit 15,923 viewers. Maria's battery showed 42%, but she couldn't stop documenting this exposure of systemic injustice. Through the Mustang's windows, Vanessa's portfolio caught the sunlight. A first-class boarding pass from her recent Chicago conference protruded from a pocket, next to a barely visible expired judicial parking permit. Her phone buzzed again. "Emergency session. Historic civil rights case. Your decisive vote needed." "Ma'am, I'm asking one final time," Hayes said. Patience performed for the cameras. "How did you acquire this vehicle?" "It belonged to my father, Judge William Mitchell of the Superior Court." Hayes's expression remained unchanged. Names without documentation meant nothing. Anyone can claim family connections. "I need official proof," the crowd whispered among themselves. Someone mentioned Judge Mitchell, causing heads to turn. The elderly woman attempted to step forward, but bystanders restrained her, reluctant to escalate the situation. "Officer," a mall security supervisor approached, radio crackling. "Is this situation under control? Management is concerned about business disruption." "Processing a potential grand theft auto case," Hayes replied, requesting backup for a comprehensive search. The word search electrified the crowd. More phones emerged. The circle widened and tightened simultaneously, as everyone understood they were witnessing something historically significant. Vanessa's briefcase sat in the back seat, its state superior court seal facing away from curious eyes. Inside lay documents that could end this instantly, but reaching for them would only validate Hayes's suspicions about suspicious behavior. Her phone vibrated a third time. 8 minutes until her absence became a constitutional crisis. 8 minutes until a crucial vote on police accountability legislation proceeded without the deciding judge. The irony wasn't lost on her legal mind. "Backup en route," Hayes announced, requesting supervisory presence for vehicle recovery. Maria's live stream reached 23,147 viewers. Comments exploded. "This is systematic racism happening live. Someone contact the news immediately." The elderly woman, Mrs. Dorothy Washington, broke free from the crowd. "Officer, that woman is Judge Vanessa Mitchell of the Superior Court. I worked in the courthouse for 38 years and know her personally." Hayes paused, handcuffs ready. "Ma'am, step back or face arrest for interference." Vanessa watched Mrs. Washington retreat, defeat in her knowing eyes. Everyone who might recognize her was at the emergency session. She stood alone, surrounded by strangers documenting every humiliating second. 5 minutes remaining. Sirens wailed as patrol cars arrived, blue lights strobing. Sergeant Lisa Rodriguez emerged, her 28 years of experience evident in her measured approach. "What's the situation, Hayes?" "Suspected vehicle theft," Hayes replied, chest puffing with authority. "Subject claims family ownership, but can't provide documentation." Rodriguez studied Vanessa carefully. Something felt inconsistent about Hayes's assessment, but protocol demanded supporting an officer in the field. "Ma'am, step away from the vehicle." During our investigation, Maria's live stream exploded to 34,516 viewers. Comments moved too rapidly to read. Racial profiling, justice for Judge Mitchell. Wait. Judge Mitchell? The name sparked recognition from her journalism courses. Officer Amanda Chen emerged from the second car, establishing a perimeter while documenting with her body camera. A Channel 7 news van entered the lot, reporter James Patterson emerging. With his crew. "Officers," Vanessa said, voice carrying natural authority, "I need to make one crucial phone call. This represents a significant misunderstanding affecting more than this moment." "No calls until investigation complete," Hayes snapped. "Turn around for processing." The crowd stirred angrily. Someone shouted, "She's not resisting." Another called, "This is harassment." A teenager with neon green hair live-streamed from another angle, adding multiple perspectives to the digital documentation. Rodriguez raised her hand for silence. Her radio crackled with citywide updates. Saturday afternoons were demanding, and this situation consumed disproportionate resources. "If you can provide registration and insurance, we can resolve this quickly," Rodriguez said reasonably. 4 minutes remaining. "Documents are in my briefcase in the back seat," Vanessa said carefully. Hayes moved toward the car. "I'll retrieve them as evidence." "That briefcase contains confidential legal documents protected by attorney-client privilege," Vanessa said sharply. "You cannot legally access those materials without... If you have nothing to hide, you shouldn't object to a standard search. The legal implications hit like physical blows. Her briefcase contained sensitive documents that could compromise active cases, violate ethics rules, potentially cause mistrials. I'm invoking my Fourth Amendment rights. You cannot search without a warrant or probable cause." Hayes smiled coldly. Probable cause. Suspected grand theft auto. Mrs. Washington pushed forward again. Officer, that woman is Judge Vanessa Mitchell. Her father was Judge William Mitchell. He drove this exact car for 28 years. Rodriguez looked between Mrs. Washington and Vanessa, doubt creeping in. Chen requested supervisory backup. Maria's phone showed 71,234 viewers as Tanjore Judge Mitchell trended nationally. News stations picked up the feed, amplifying reach across traditional media. This is James Patterson, Channel 7 News, live from Heritage Plaza, where a routine stop has raised serious questions about racial profiling. The situation spiraled beyond Hayes' control, but pride wouldn't allow retreat. 4 years from retirement, this arrest could vindicate his career or destroy it. You're under arrest for failure to provide identification and obstruction, Hayes announced, producing handcuffs. Obstruction? Rodriguez questioned. Derek, maybe we should— She's been evasive from the beginning, Hayes interrupted. The crowd erupted as Vanessa slowly turned, dignity intact despite humiliation. Her father's voice echoed, Sometimes the system fails us, baby girl, but we never fail the system. Hayes' radio crackled. All units advised. Courthouse security reports Judge Vanessa Mitchell missing from emergency session. Color drained from Hayes' face. Rodriguez grabbed his radio. Dispatch. Description of missing judge? African-American female, 45, approximately 5'6", white blazer and dark slacks, driving blue 1967 Ford Mustang, license WJM 1967. Rodriguez stared at the license plate. WJM 1967, William J. Mitchell, 1967. 2 minutes remaining. The pieces clicked into horrifying alignment. Rodriguez had testified in Judge Mitchell's courtroom dozens of times. Without judicial robes, she hadn't recognized her. Derek, Rodriguez said urgently, we need to seriously reconsider. I don't care who she claims to be, Hayes snarled, voice wavering. Proper procedure demands. Vanessa's phone rang again. Chief Justice Elizabeth Harper, emergency session. Her deciding vote was needed for a 4-4 deadlock on police accountability measures. The irony was exquisite. Officers, she said, voice carrying 15 years of courtroom authority. I'm reaching for my identification now. You can observe my hands, follow protocols. But this ends here. Hayes raised handcuffs. Don't reach for anything. Letter, Rodriguez said firmly. Step back, Derek. The crowd held its breath. 89,000 viewers watched as Vanessa reached slowly toward her briefcase, movements deliberate and visible. 1 minute remaining. The leather portfolio opened with a soft snap that echoed across the silent plaza. Inside lay a judicial identification, card bearing the Superior Court seal. Judge Vanessa Mitchell, Superior Court, Criminal Division. Silence stretched across the entire parking lot. Hayes' face transformed from confident authority to dawning horror. The judicial ID caught sunlight, its seal unmistakable. Officer Hayes, badge 8134, Vanessa said, voice carrying quiet power that had commanded courtrooms for 15 years. I am Judge Vanessa Mitchell of the Superior Court Criminal Division. The crowd erupted in stunned recognition. Mrs. Washington clasped her hands, vindicated. Maria's phone nearly slipped as comments exploded faster than eyes could process. She's actually a judge. That officer is finished. This is incredible. Rodriguez stepped forward, 28 years of experience screaming that this situation had become career-defining. Your Honor, we had absolutely no idea. Of course not, Vanessa replied, closing the portfolio. You observed an African-American woman with an expensive vehicle and made assumptions based on racial prejudice rather than evidence. Hayes stood frozen, handcuffs dangling. This wasn't just any judge, this was Judge Mitchell, whose courtroom he'd testified in 23 times. The one who'd questioned his tactics, scrutinized his credibility. This vehicle belonged to my father, Judge William Mitchell, who served this county for 36 years. Vanessa continued, producing registration documents. This shows official transfer from his estate, what you'd have discovered with professionalism, instead of prejudice. Reporter Patterson pushed closer. Your Honor, can you comment on this encounter? I can comment on systematic training failures enabling racial profiling, Vanessa replied, maintaining eye contact with Hayes. On violation of my Fourth Amendment rights, on public humiliation of a sitting judge based solely on skin color. The live stream climbed past 95,000 viewers as Judge Mitchell trended nationally alongside racial profiling and police accountability. Chen approached cautiously. Your Honor, we sincerely apologize for this misunderstanding. This wasn't misunderstanding, Vanessa interrupted with judicial precision. This was profiling, prejudice, systematic assumption that an African-American woman couldn't legitimately own something valuable. Hayes found his voice barely a whisper. Judge Mitchell, I was following protocol. Protocol? Her eyebrows rose with courtroom skepticism. Assuming theft based on racial demographics, refusing identification rights, threatening arrest for exercising constitutional rights. She displayed her phone showing 22 missed calls. While you investigated, I missed votes on landmark cases. The emergency session proceeded without the swing vote on police accountability. Measures designed to prevent exactly this encounter. The irony hung heavy. Hayes's actions had impacted legislation designed to reform police behavior. Vanessa produced a digital recorder. I've documented this entire encounter for legal proceedings. Hayes went ashen. You were recording? My legal. Right under California Penal Code 148G. Judges have professional responsibility to document civil rights violations. Mrs. Washington stepped forward boldly. Officer Hayes, I tried telling you who she was. 38 years in that courthouse, and you refused to listen. Vanessa opened her briefcase fully, revealing legal briefs on police misconduct, civil rights precedents, constitutional interpretations. This was a judge specializing in exactly the cases his actions created. In 15 years on the bench, I've presided over hundreds of police misconduct cases, she said. Your precinct has 31% higher stop rates for African-American drivers. Your record includes 18 excessive force complaints and 2 federal lawsuits settled by the city. Hayes's knees nearly buckled. How did she know his confidential history? I chair the County Judicial Committee on Police Accountability, Vanessa continued. I review departmental data, make policy recommendations, approve civil rights settlements. Hayes hadn't just profiled any judge. He'd profiled the judge overseeing police reform, the judge who could influence his career, pension, legacy, commissioner. Washington arrived, Mrs. Washington's son, carrying 34 years of leadership. His first sight was his mother vindicated while his officers faced scandal. Judge Mitchell, I apologize for this unconscionable violation, Commissioner Washington said. Accountability requires more than apologies, Vanessa replied. Your insurance. Carrier paid $1.4 million in racial profiling settlements. Officer Hayes accounts for $420,000. The commissioner's jaw tightened. Insurance costs were crushing budgets statewide. What remedies do you seek, Your Honor? Vanessa closed her briefcase. Decision made. Officer Hayes has 3 options determining not only his career, but county police reform trajectory. The plaza fell silent. 132,000 viewers watched as a sitting judge delivered a legal ultimatum. Option 1. Immediate suspension pending federal investigation. Potential criminal charges, civil liability, permanent termination. Hayes's legs nearly gave out. Criminal charges meant prison, lost pension, family financial destruction. Option 2. Voluntary demotion, 300 hours bias training, serve as police academy reform case study. Testify before state legislature about racial profiling dangers. Become change advocate. The crowd murmured thoughtfully. Second chances were rare, but transformation through accountability offered hope. Option 3. Immediate retirement with full benefits, acknowledging outdated policing mindset. Avoid prosecution, but forfeit future law enforcement roles. You have 60 seconds to choose, Vanessa announced. Your decision will be binding and immediately effective. Hayes looked at his hand still holding handcuffs intended for a sitting judge. 18 complaints, federal lawsuits, behavioral patterns had led to this reckoning. Rodriguez placed a hand on his shoulder. Derek, think about your family, your legacy. The live stream viewers held their breath. 140,000 people waited for a decision impacting national police accountability. 30 seconds remaining, Vanessa announced with quiet authority. I choose option 2, Hayes said, voice barely audible. I'll accept demotion, complete training, and testify about my mistakes. The plaza erupted in surprised discussion. 145,000 viewers witnessed an officer choosing accountability over self-preservation. He chose accountability. This is historic. Real change happening live. Judge Mitchell nodded with approval, reserved for defendants accepting responsibility. Your choice demonstrates growth possibilities through accountability. This requires immediate implementation and measurable outcomes. Commissioner Washington stepped forward. Your Honor, the department will implement Officer Hayes' demotion immediately. We'll establish comprehensive review of training protocols. Furthermore, Vanessa continued, I'm recommending this case become mandatory viewing for every police academy in California. Officer Hayes will participate in creating educational materials demonstrating real-world consequences of racial profiling. Hayes nodded, the weight of his choice settling. Your Honor, I want to apologize. Not just for today, but for every time I let assumptions override training. Mrs. Washington, I'm sorry I didn't listen. Mrs. Washington approached with surprising grace. Son, apologies are just words. Your actions from now on will determine whether this moment meant something. The story that began with prejudice was ending with possibility. The mathematics of bias had been replaced by the algebra of justice. In a shopping center parking lot, under thousands of watchful eyes, genuine change had taken root. As Vanessa drove her father's beloved Mustang toward the courthouse to cast her crucial vote on police accountability measures, she carried proof that individual courage could create systematic transformation, character over color, evidence over assumption, accountability over authority. These weren't just words anymore. They were the foundation of a new equation for justice that honored both past struggles and the promise of a more equitable future.